Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to the week. And we have a lot to discuss with you. I hope you had a great weekend. Where are you streaming from this morning? Let me know where you're streaming from this morning. Folks from New York, New Orleans, Louisiana. You got folks from Illinois, folks from all over the country. Florida is in the house. And good morning. So I'm so glad that you guys are here. I have a lot to discuss with you this morning. Well, I got to tell you the truth that the new administration is not even in place yet. It hasn't been an inauguration. They're not even in office yet, and it's already starting. So if you are a Trump supporter, if you voted, then it is, we'll just call it F around and find out time. Okay, especially if you are a member of the Latino community and you voted for Donald Trump and you may have family members, maybe you just don't care. I don't know. But this is our hot topic this morning that we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss the mass deportation of people and really the F around and find out and where our country is going to next. And it is not anywhere humane. Especially when you look at the kind of people who have been put into place to do some of these things. So let me just tell you, just moments ago, Elise Stefanik, you know Elise Stefanik, right? It just was a never Trumper, then became a MAGA lover, member of the cult. Elise Stefanik has been named U.S. ambassador to the UN. Guess what? Nikki Haley, over the weekend, the president-elect Donald Trump says, Nikki Haley, sorry, don't need it. All of that groveling and kissing up and kissing, you know what, all of that. And he embarrassed Nikki Haley on a Saturday. Like, who drops news on a Saturday? That means I don't care. You are not going to be in my cabinet, he said. It's over. Not interested in your services. All of that. I'm here to campaign with him. He didn't want her. He doesn't. And the future of the party is not the Nikki Haley kind of Republican. They're not interested in that. They're interested in MAGA folks. They're not interested, as they say, in war hawks, or they're not interested in corporate or establishment Republicans. Not interested. Well, they're not interested in Nikki Haley. So Nikki Haley, as he said, you're fired. Okay. Also, Susie Wiles, as we told you, is going to be the White House chief of staff. She was his campaign manager. Susie Wiles of Florida politics. And then we have Tom Homan. Tom Homan is going to be what Donald Trump calls a border czar. We don't have czars here, but he says he's going to be his border czar. And he says on the first day, Homan does, and Trump, on the first day, he's going to start deporting 11 million people. 11 million people they're going to start. Mass deportation. What is that going to mean for you? What does that mean for your family? What does that mean for the price of goods? What does that mean for people who are filling jobs that they can't get other folks to do? What does that mean? Has anyone studied the effects on the economy? I don't think so. They call these people, where are all these terrorists that they have been calling, they're saying coming across the border? Because the only terrorists that I have been seeing, the only active terrorists, domestic terrorists in this country, have been right-wing radicalized men committing domestic terror. Members of Donald Trump's own party breaking into the Capitol. That's domestic terrorism. But those people, what did he say? They're patriots. It was a love fest. Okay. I want to introduce you to Tom Homan in case you don't know him. Tom Homan, I want to show you, this is him on Maria Bartiromo this weekend, along with Scott Bessent, who is a possible Treasury Secretary. They're talking about where they're going to start deporting mass numbers of people from this country and how they're going to pay for it. Here it is.
Kick it off with you. What are the plans for deportation? You heard what President Trump told me in that interview a couple of months ago. He says it's got to be done. How do you round up 10 million people and deport them?
Well, look, I agree with the president's plan on this. And the same plan he had during his first administration. You concentrate on the public safety threats and the national security threats first. because they're the worst of the worst. So it's going to be the worst first. That's how it has to be done. And we know a record number of people on the terrorist watch list have crossed this border. We know a record number of terrorists have been released in this country. We've already arrested some planning attacks. So look, the president is dead on when he says criminal threats, national security threats are going to be prioritized, and that's the way it's going to be.
Scott Bessent, the Wall Street Journal this morning is writing about the cost of this deportation, and it's going to be hefty. So you've got the cost of rounding up people who may have committed crimes for deportation at a time that President Trump wants to have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. How will we afford all of this?
Well, Maria, first of all, let's talk about the human cost. We have 100,000 fentanyl deaths a year because of the porous border. We have the increased crime. We have the underlying fear that the American people have. You can't put a price on that. But I'll tell you, too, that what we are going to do here, Donald Trump has staged the biggest political comeback in history, and I think that we are on the verge of a golden age in the economy for the next 4 years, where we can have a growth agenda, where we deregulate, get energy prices down, and get interest rates down, and that will drive growth like we have not seen for years. And the cost of this deportation will be a rounding error, but I keep going back to the human cost, and you can't put a price on that.
Okay, so let's talk about that. All of these people that look, there's a problem with immigration, there's a problem with the border. But we have to figure out why people are wanting to come here. That is the biggest thing that will help to fix immigration and how to make things better in the places where they are. For Tom Homan to say that there are a record number of terrorists who have been released into the U.S. Okay, we'll see about that. But have those folks actually committed any terror? Where's the evidence of that? Except the evidence, according to the FBI and according to all government sources, the number of domestic terrorist attacks and plots against government targets motivated by partisan political beliefs in the past 5 years is nearly triple the number of such incidents in the previous 25 years combined. That's according to a new analysis of 30 years of domestic terrorism data in the United States. And you know where those threats are coming from? Radicalized right-wing terror groups, domestic terror groups. Those are people, United States citizens who live here, who are plotting against political figures or because of political ideologies. They're plotting against people in their own country. Those are the threats. And if you want to know the truth about immigrants, illegal immigrants or otherwise, they commit far less crime than native-born American citizens or people who are already citizens. If you voted for this, you fell for the okie doke. Don't get me wrong. There's problems with immigration. The border should be fixed. We should have comprehensive immigration reform and overhaul, but in the right way, and not by demonizing immigrants and calling people terrorists or saying you're rounding up people who are terrorists when they're not committing terrorist acts. Are you rounding up the people in the United States who are committing terrorist acts? Domestic terrorists? Why aren't you? Because they look like you, that's why. And because you can demonize people who are coming across the border because they're brown people. That's the truth. A truth bomb for this morning. Again, I want to introduce you to Tom Homan. He's a sweet guy. Great bedside manner, as evidenced here in this 60 Minutes interview. Here it is.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
Shouldn't he
What
know?
price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Huh. You heard that, huh? Now, she said it's going to cost billions of dollars. I think she said 11 billion, if I'm correct, to or maybe it was more than that. I forget what she said. Maybe it's 80 billion. I don't remember. I just want you to hear the soundbite again. Let's play it again.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Okay, I don't know if that's accurate or not. Shouldn't he know if that's accurate? $88 billion. And that's 1 million. He's planning on doing 11 million. Now, excuse me, to start. Now think about that. And then the next line, he says, I don't know if that's accurate. And what is the price of safety in America or security? What's the price? Okay. I'm not sure what the price is, but he should know. And what is the price that what are you paying to deport or contain or get rid of the actual domestic terrorists that look like you? What are you doing? Why isn't that a political talking point for you? Why isn't that something that's important to you that you are bringing up on the campaign trail, bringing up on 60 Minutes interviews, putting out videos? Why isn't that important to you? Because what? It doesn't animate your base. It ticks your base off because it's the people in your base look like them. And those are the people in your base, the actual domestic terrorists, Americans. That's what it is. White men radicalized to the right. The FBI has said it, the head of the FBI, and others. And you would probably have the nerve to call that racist or race baiting when it's the actual truth. When the actual race baiting and racism is coming from you calling many folks, they're illegal immigrants, but calling them terrorists. When have we seen any acts of domestic terrorism from them? But we've seen plenty from right-wing radicalized, homegrown terrorists. Tom Homan, just to give you an idea of what he's like and how he feels about the border and immigration and about Donald Trump and about MAGAism. This is just a small sampling of just a couple of speeches, maybe even one or two that he's given. Here he is.
Give me 5 minutes to say a few things, so if I offend anybody tonight, I don't give a shit. How many pounds of fentanyl didn't make in this country to kill Americans? How many known suspected terrorists didn't make in this country?
Please?
How many billions of dollars?
Pause. So fentanyl. When they found fentanyl coming into the country, that means that the folks on the border were doing their jobs because they stopped the fentanyl. And a lot of the fentanyl is from here, by the way. Do your research on fentanyl and where it's actually coming from. And so when they say this enormous amount of fentanyl was confiscated at the border, guess what? That means that the border agents were doing their jobs. So maybe they should be saying, hey, thank you, Biden administration and current border staff, because you're doing your jobs. And then again with the terrorist language, go on.
Country. How many billions of dollars did the cartels make? President Trump is one badass president. He secured the border at a level we've never seen before. And I got a message to the millions of illegal aliens that's been released into the United States under this administration. Don't get too comfortable. We're going to need some help. Do I have any volunteers that want to come back and help run the biggest deportation operation in the history of this nation? In January of 25, the greatest president of my lifetime walking back in the White House. He tells me, we got, I say 120 days. He says, no, you got 60 to lock the border down. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I told the president. He comes back, I come back, we fix this shit.
That's Tom Homan. So again, if you are, have anything to do, if you know someone, if you have a member of the family, maybe you're not sure about they're here, because people get caught up in these numbers. They don't realize who is legal, who's not, who is asylum, who's not. Some of your family members will get caught up in this. They will. And you know what? There are a lot of folks out there who are saying, don't come crying to me. Especially black folks, they're saying, and black women, don't come crying to me. You effed around and you found out. And here's the truth of what they're saying, is that if you look at the civil rights movement, right, which was largely, mainly black people, African Americans, fighting for the civil rights, not just for them, and fighting for equality and equity, not just for them, but for immigrants, for you Mexicans, for you, not immigrants, but Puerto Ricans, for everyone, for all of Latin Americans, for all immigrants, for everyone who comes to this country as an immigrant, for all the underserved community. That's what the civil rights movement was about, and for women as well. And so many African Americans feel like they were betrayed, that they have been let down, that the civil rights that they fought for themselves, that now the folks who they fought to help to get civil rights, you immigrants, women, that they have been betrayed by this, especially African American women. But they know, well, there are many more things. Okay. And if this doesn't apply to you, if you're a white woman and you didn't vote for Donald Trump, then they're not talking about you. If you're an immigrant and you didn't, they're not talking about you. But for those who did, Tom Homan now, just to show you, as if you have not seen his bedside manner, this is Tom Homan at a congressional hearing where he's talking about criminals and a separation of families, and he's getting angry because he's saying, you know, that's not who I am. I care about immigrants. Here it is.
And you're the member.
We agree on that.
Fix it.
We agree.
Mr.
Holman, you have said that most immigrants are, quote, not criminals other than the criminal act that they do when they enter the country illegally. That is why I think we ought to revisit decriminalizing desperation, striking sections 1325 and 1326 of Title VIII of the U.S. Code, the statutes that the administration has leveraged to separate thousands of children from their families. Mr. Holman, do you understand that the consequences of separation of many children will be lifelong trauma and carried across generations? Have we not learned from the internment of Japanese Americans? Mr. Holman, I'm a father. Do you have children? How can you possibly allow this to happen under your watch? Do you not care? Is it because these children don't look like children that are around you? I don't get it. Have you ever held a deceased child in your arms?
First of all, your comments are disgusting. I've served my country.
I've served
my country for 34 years.
I find your comments
this is out of
disgusting
control.
as well.
I've served my country for 34 years. And yes, I held a 5-year-old boy in my arms in back of that tractor trailer. I knelt down beside him and said a prayer for him because I knew what his last 30 minutes of his life were like. And I had a 5-year-old son at the time. What I've been trying to do my 34 years serving my nation is to save lives. So for you to sit there and insult my integrity and my love for my country and for children, that's why this whole thing needs to be fixed. And you're the member.
We agree on that.
Fix it.
We agree on that, but I disagree. But I also disagree with your characterization of immigrants as criminality.
People for 3 decades on this.
Gentlemen's time has expired.
Pause, please.
No one in this room has seen what I.
So why didn't they fix it? Why didn't they fix it when they were in office if they had the opportunity to fix it? Number one, right? They keep saying fix it, fix it, fix it. And number two, why did they kill that border bill that would have helped to fix this? Now, here's the absolute truth that most folks won't tell you. Yeah, there's a problem. The Biden administration could have done much better with the border. So that Kamala Harris didn't really have an answer when it came to immigration and the border when asked about it several times. That's problematic. But this has gone over a number of different administrations for decades, so the border could have been fixed. And now they want to shut down the border. What does that mean for other folks? What does that mean for asylum seekers? What does that mean? We don't know. But if the problem was that easily fixed, they could have fixed it. It's easy to say, just shut down the border. Most people will say, fix immigration. But to shut down the border, is that inhumane? especially you Christians out there, all of these evangelicals who supported Donald Trump and who are MAGA. I don't understand it because it's real cognitive dissonance. But what would Jesus do? What would you have done when Jesus was, immigrating to Bethlehem? Would you have said, hey, where are your papers? Show me your ID? I'm just saying. Let's continue, please.
I've seen in my 34-year career. Very well. No one has experienced what I've experienced. I've saw many dead bodies coming across this border. You want to talk about the memo? This memo is one option to stop death. Not just about enforcing the law, stop death. If you want to legalize illegal immigration, good luck with that, because it's going to get a hell of a lot worse on that border. If you say, well, okay, from now on, there will be no consequence, no deterrence. It's not illegal to come to this country illegally. More families will come. 31% women will be raped. More children would die. We're a nation of laws. If you don't like it, sir, change it. You're the legislator. I'm the executive branch, and I've served my country honorably for 34 years. And I will not sit here and have anybody say that I don't care about children because you're not the same color as my children. Thank you very much.
Look, I'm sure he cares about children, but serving his country, I'm not sure what that has to do with anything. But look, to separate families, I believe is inhumane. And to say, well, what do you do about that? Well, everybody just has to go. What do you think about that? Sure, there's an issue at the border. Again, sure, there's an issue. But is the fix mass deportation? Is that the fix? Is it mass deportation? Again, it's already starting. Here's the other, and as the thumbnail says on this thing, WTF America, who are we? What have we become? What are we going to become here? Donald Trump is also going to overhaul the education department, possibly get rid of it. He said he wanted to get rid of it. He wants to overhaul it. This is what he wants to do. Now, notice there is no reference to teaching complete American history so that people would understand the contributions of all people and actually understand the history of this country. Nothing like that. That is discussed. Where's the separation of church and state in what he's proposing? Is he going to put, Louisiana wants to put the 10 Commandments in schools. He wants prayer back in schools. Does that mean only Christians? Can Muslims? Can we put the Quran? I mean, where do we stop with prayers? Is it Seventh-day Adventist? Is it Jewish? The Torah? Like, what are we going to in schools? Are we going to pray what? Are we going to pray Jewish prayers? Are we going to pray Christian prayers? Are we going to pray Muslim prayers? Because if you allow one, then you have to allow all. Remember, we are what? We were founded on freedom of religion, but we're also supposed to have a separation of church and state. So what Donald Trump is proposing, I believe, is not patriotic. Here's his proposals. Here are his proposals.
Are 10 key ideas that will power our movement for great schools. First, we will respect the right of parents to control the education of their children. Second,
school choice.
We will empower parents and local school board to hire and reward great principals and teachers, and also to fire the poor ones, the one whose performance is unsatisfactory. They
already do that.
Like on The Apprentice, you're fired. Third, we will ensure our classrooms are focused not on political indoctrination, but on teaching the knowledge and skills needed to succeed.
Pause, please. Political indoctrination, what he means is, do not teach your kids about slavery. Do not teach them about civil rights. Do not teach them about actual American history, because he says that's political indoctrination. When political indoctrination would be putting prayer in schools, that would be religious indoctrination done on a political level. There's supposed to be a separation of church and state. That's what he's saying. Do not teach real history. Remember, we don't want our kids feeling guilty about being white. Go on.
reading, writing, math, science, arithmetic, and other truly useful subjects. Fourth, we will teach students to love their country, not to hate their country like they're taught right now.
There you go.
Fifth, we will support bringing back prayer to our schools. Sixth, we will achieve schools that are safe, secure, and drug-free, with immediate expulsion for any student who harms a teacher or another student. Seventh, we will give all parents the right to choose another school for their children if they want. School choice. Eighth, we will ensure students have access to project-based learning experiences inside the classroom to help train them for meaningful work outside the classroom. Ninth, we will strive to give all students access to internships and work experiences that can set them on a path to their first job. They're going to be very, very successful. I want them to be more successful than Trump. Let them go out and be more successful. I will be the happiest person in the world. But we want our children to have a great life and be successful. And 10th, we will ensure that all schools provide excellent jobs and career counseling so that high school and college students can get a head start on jobs and careers best suited to their God-given talents. This is how we will ensure a great education for every American child. And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst.
Okay.
So you can't do.
All right. So we're one of the worst, maybe because we don't teach correct history. People don't know exactly what the country is really about because we want to teach propaganda like he is saying. We already do many of those things, especially don't get me started with the whole internships because most of the people who get interns are like, Nepo babies, Donald Trump's children. And people whose families are dads, or they donate a library. Their dad was a legacy, or their mom was a legacy. Are they going to teach that? They're getting rid of it and they're sending it back to the states, just like they did Roe v. Wade. And what does that mean? So they're going to send that back to the states. That means they're going to, like they did Roe v. Wade, which they overturned, and they've got rid of abortion for a lot of people. School choice and send it back to the states. That means what? A lot of places, especially public schools, won't get funding. They're going to shut down. What are poor people going to do? People who have been really co-opted and affected by a system of unfairness. What are they going to do? If they don't have the means to be able, I want a choice. I want to send my kid here. Okay, that's great if you can do it, but not everybody can do that. And the people who are being critical of Donald Trump and the people who see the hypocrisy in all of this and just how ludicrous it is, it's not just Americans. It's also Russians are seeing it. It's Donald Trump's friend, right? Donald Trump's pal, Vladimir Putin. Do you want to know how Russian television celebrated Donald Trump's win in prime time on one of their main programs, if not their number 1 rated program, their 60 Minutes? They celebrated by showing nude pictures of Melania Trump from her modeling days with the anchors smirking and laughing. That's how they celebrated Donald Trump's victory. You don't believe me? Here it is.
В самом журнале сексуальные фото Мелании у частного самолета и на его борту.
Her body, her choice, right? So that's not the point. But the point is that this is Donald Trump's pal, Vladimir Putin. This is a Russian. He loves Russia, right? And Putin. Donald Trump is not taking kindly to people discussing those pictures and putting them up. I know people who have put them on social media and they have gotten strikes or had their accounts suspended. Or just putting a half nude, doesn't even show anything of Melania Trump. Now, how is that happening? The Russian people, because it doesn't happen, American media is afraid to discuss it. I just think about, again, her body, her choice, right? But just think about it. It's okay. Like, she's young, beautiful woman, beautiful body. Just think if that had been any other first lady. Just think if Michelle Obama had that sort of, just think about it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying, think about the double standard. And I think Russia is somehow saying that. Not that it's bad, but that there's a double standard. What would the evangelical Christians and the conservative right wing say about Michelle Obama with nude pictures? What would they say? You guys remember talking about First Lady? Do you guys remember what happened to Vanessa Williams? And they weren't even that racy. She had to give up her crown. Well, again, this is where we are, America. You voted for it. Such tough news to start your week with. I just want to leave you with something today. As you make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you hit the likes, make sure you subscribe, okay? Because we want people to become part of the elimination. We want as many people as possible. I like to leave you with something that'll make you smile. You guys know that I am a dog lover, and in these troubled times, I'm going to continue to find just little rays of hope, little rays of sunshine, and things that make you smile and happy. Now, when we have the vacuum on in our house, our dogs just run the other way. They don't want anything to do with it. If you try to get close, they're like, nope, they flee. Not this cute doggy. This cute doggy loves it. Here it is. Looking for my doggy. I was looking for my doggies to see if they're around. Oh my gosh. My dogs would be running the other way. They do like affection, but not from a vacuum. Okay, so I'll try to find little rays of sunshine. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Eastern, so there's plenty of content for you to check out.